Welcome back from the weekend. We're happy you're taking 10 minutes for CNN Student News. I'm Carl Azus at the CNN Center. First story takes us to a nation of 26 million people between Saudi Arabia and the Gulf of Aden. It's Yemen. Its government was overthrown in January by Houthi rebels who'd been at odds with the Yemeni government for years. The country is very unstable. A terrorist attack on 2 mosques last Friday killed more than 130 people and wounded hundreds more. The ISIS militant group said it was responsible. But al-Qaeda also operates in Yemen, and the U.S. says security there continues to get worse. That's why the American military pulled all of its remaining personnel out of the country this weekend. In Yemen's capital, the American embassy was closed last month. In our coverage of the conflict in Ukraine, we've talked about how relations between the U.S. and Russia have declined. According to Gallup surveys, about half of the American population had a positive view of Russia 3 years ago. Today, 70% of Americans have an unfavorable view, and 82% of Russians disapprove of U.S. leadership. When Gallup asked Americans earlier this year what country they'd consider to be America's greatest enemy, 18% answered Russia, the most of any nation worldwide. North Korea was right behind that. So it's significant that with relations between the U.S. and Russia being at their lowest point since the end of the Cold War, Russia would invite North Korea's leader to an event in Moscow.
Facing a backlash from the West, Russia is looking east. President Vladimir Putin inviting North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to Moscow to attend upcoming World War II anniversary celebrations. A Russian official says North Korea's supreme leader is expected to attend, but so far no formal confirmation from Pyongyang.
You've seen the number of meetings that he's had with Western leaders in Europe decline. And so the Russians have talked about this Asian alternative. And this is including some outreach to China, but other countries in Asia to try to portray Mr. Putin as not isolated, which in fact is the case.
The Kremlin says 68 world leaders were invited to the Victory Day celebrations on May the 9th, but some leaders, including President Obama, have declined. Relations with the West are strained following Russia's annexation of Crimea from Ukraine. But recently, Moscow and Pyongyang have been fostering warmer relations. The two countries even declared 2015 their year of friendship. If Kim attends, it would be his first official trip outside North Korea since inheriting the leadership in late 2011.
If he's able to go to meet Putin in Moscow or elsewhere in Russia, this would appear to be a sign that he has completely consolidated control and he's confident enough to leave the nest and go do statesman-like things around the world.
And Putin continues to flex Russia's military muscles. Defense officials saying nearly 80,000 troops have been placed on full combat alert. On Wednesday, NATO jets intercepted a number of Russian military aircraft as they neared Latvian airspace, further rattling nerves among Russia's neighbours.
India has the second highest human population in the world, but it's number 1 when it comes to tigers. It's home to about half the world's tigers. They typically live about 8 to 10 years in the wild, though all tiger subspecies are endangered. India doesn't have nearly as many as it used to, but their numbers are growing again, thanks in large part to conservation efforts. Here's what one of those efforts looks like.
When people report tiger attacks, they say it came out of nowhere.
It is staggering to think that there were tens of thousands of tigers in the forests of India. Now there's just over 2,200, something like that. Oh, that's very good. You're good. How are things going? How goes the fight?
It's been good. The numbers say there are 226 tigers in India in the wild.
Who else has seen a tiger? Wow.
Conflict has not really gone higher than the last few months.
Your real passion is saving tigers through conflict resolution. There's a very visceral fear of the tiger throughout much of India. So if one comes into a village, they're often killed. And you go into these places and try to talk people down, try to make them appreciate the value of a forest with wild tigers.
It's all about people and their code of conduct, because you can't get people out of the forest, you can't get animals out of these human-dominated forests.
This is the corridor that we've created.
You took me to this little farm you purchased between two tiger preserves, and it has turned into a wildlife superhighway.
When I show pictures that this is from my kitchen, I have tigers walking here, and yeah, it freaks them out.
You're trying to convince your neighboring farmers that maybe you should stop farming and let your land go wild.
If you stop farming and if you let forests come back and get some economic benefits from ecotourism, it would be a win-win situation.
As part of our presentation, we now present 3 schools that are present on today's roll call. The Rams are here from San Antonio, Texas. It's the home of John Marshall High School. The Wildcats are watching. LaGrange is in Ohio. It's where we found Keystone High School. And it's nighttime. Castle Heights Middle School is online from South Carolina in the city of Rock Hill. An international film festival kicked off last October. It had some unique characteristics. 1, it was open only to students between kindergarten and 12th grade. 2, its theme was the impact of giving back, the focus on serving others. 3, out of more than 1,500 submissions, 15 of the short films were screened last Friday at the White House. President Obama, Oscar-winning actress Hilary Swank, and Oscar-winning director Steve McQueen were there. It was the second year for the event, which was sponsored by the American Film Institute and Participant Media. Finalists were invited to attend the screening, and they got to go to workshops afterward focused on sharpening their skills in filmmaking. Here's an example of what one of the White House's 15 selections looked like.
What will you give back? People get stuck when asked. I don't know, their faces respond. Oh, if they only saw what I saw. We are capable of giving so much, for we have been given all we need to give it all up. We have a beating heart, air in our lungs. Don't you see what I see? The teacher passionately giving away her education for the sake of the student who is full of determination. Determination to rise, to dream, to fight, to create. Giving their imagination for others to find inspiration, giving their stories in hopes for others to see what they see, giving their voice for others to find their own, giving their words for others to know we're not alone. The will to give has no age. Here's a wise coach, giving away his childlike heart for boys who just want to have fun. A humble custodian giving away her sore hands for others to live in cleanliness. The impact transcends time and space. So here's to giving it all away. Give it away. Give it away.
Before we go, a fish called Greedo. Star Wars fans might get the name. For the rest of us, it's one crude catfish. It was discovered in 1998, but it wasn't until this year that it was designated a new species. Because of its large eyes and bristling bristles, a researcher thought it looked like a short-lived Star Wars character. If you were looking for the off-screen version of Greedo, you could find it in the waters of northern Brazil. It might lack the aura of an angelfish, the colors of a clownfish, or the regality of the regal tang, but it's not Greedo for attention. There are many fish in the sea, and this cat's catching coverage swimmingly from fins around the galaxy. This is CNN Student News, and that's our catch of the day.